Leah.
And I'm Gretchen.
And welcome to our Rewatch series.
Yay! So, Leah, what's a Rewatch series?
A Rewatch series is where we take a movie that we've watched in our childhood or something that we've seen before. Then we will be rewatching it, kind of giving our notes, comparing it to our now more mature selves.
We're going to talk about how we feel about it, how it affected us, and then afterwards we'll watch it again, and then we'll reevaluate. See if it's aged well, see if we still remember it the way that we did, or...
Remember it at all?
yeah, or we may have confused it for a different movie. I mean, that happens.
That happens a lot. So our goal is to go through every Disney movie, starting from the first releases to modern day Disney.
Yeah.
But we do have a couple rules. What are those rules again, Gretchen?
The rules are one of us should have seen it. If they're recent, then they should have been released within 1 calendar year.
Today we're going to be talking about Snow White!
And the 7 Dwarves. Because that's the full title.
Yes.
Okay.
So I have a lot of feelings about Snow White.
Do you? Because I don't.
I have had... So have you ever watched Snow White? You've watched it.
Yes, I have.
Okay. Even as a child, I despised Snow White. I thought she was very terrible.
Define terrible.
Well, okay, so she's this little girl who falls in love with the guy she just met over a well and some flowers and singing. And then she doesn't even actually meet him in the movie. He just finds her dead somewhere and kisses her and brings her back to life. She doesn't defeat the witch. All she does that's heroic is clean after 7 little men inside a hut. So I didn't really take away a lot of strong female vibes.
So you were able, so how old?
As a child, I remember being really, I just thought she was the prissiest, girliest. She couldn't stand up for herself. And maybe I didn't understand, the verbiage that I'm using today. But, I remember very distinctly my mom got me an outfit, when I was 4. And she wanted me to dress up like Snow White, and I refused because she was too girly and prissy and couldn't defend herself. So...
Yeah, I didn't have strong feelings about Snow White. As a child, I did have a lot of the classical animated Disney movies on VHS. Mm-hmm. Snow White was not one of them. And so, I think I watched it in kindergarten class when they had those times of the day where you just watch a movie after a nap or whatever. Mm-hmm. I think I might have watched it then, and even then, I wasn't really attached to it. Remembering it now, I looked at it that's just a whole bunch of white people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the dwarves, they were so pasty. It was not relatable to me. And as a child, I was growing up in Guam, an island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And the setting of Snow White was in the forest.
Yes.
It was a setting that we didn't have. So I'm what is this place?
Right. This foreign magical land of trees.
Yeah, and then... Well, I was familiar with the mythology of dwarves because I'm Filipino, and yeah, we do have dwarves too, and in Guam too, they have dwarf myths but they're not necessarily.
Are they different from?
Very different.
Yeah,
Very
I would imagine so, but
they did not mind.
They did not mind. I don't think the dwarves that. Oh, I guess. The dwarves in Nordic, they mine for gold, but it's different. It's not they're not dig, 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 dig. They're not singing miners who live in a house.
Hi-ho, hi-ho. That's what I took away from that movie, was that song.
Was that song?
Yeah, and whistle while you work.
Oh gosh. What really bothered me, and I understand that it was the music of the time, her voice is so shrill and obnoxious. It's that. I'm waiting for the one I love to find me today.
That's literally
it. Who talks like that? A psychopath.
Well, I think it has something to do maybe with the technology. I just think that her voice was way too high for the equipment to really get the quality of her voice to sound. That's why she sounds a little distorted and muddled.
I just thought she always talked like this.
Well, yeah, that too.
Mr. Walt Disney, give me a job. They're we'll make you a princess. You'll be 7 years old and have a crush on a guy that you see from across the palace.
Okay, so our takeaway is that we did not like Snow White.
Yeah. Like, you have to appreciate it for its, like, the value of the cinematography of it, because it was such a huge deal to make a feature-length film. And I do like Grumpy. Grumpy was my favorite.
I don't think I had a favorite dwarf.
No?
Maybe Dopey because he was adorable.
Because I guess, see, I think Grumpy is adorable because he was so grumpy. But, you know.
Dopey was the little one who didn't speak and was getting into trouble, I think.
He doesn't quite get in trouble. He just like is clumsy.
Gets into situations that aren't.
He was the most lovable one.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
I like the lovable ones, I guess. But yeah, same. I can appreciate the historical value that Snow White gave to cinema and animation, but the story itself was like, eh.
Yeah, the Disney version was eh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When was the last time that you saw Snow White?
It has been many years because, as I said before, it wasn't my favorite movie. Probably as like a young teenager, I think. You know what? I bought it from the Disney store when it came out because my mom insisted, because she wanted it for her collection, and I think I watched it with her. I was probably like 19 years old. So that was the last time I saw it.
I think the last time I saw it was around 19 and 20 years old as well.
Okay.
Because at the time I was in like my university choir, and one of our final presentations was to sing Disney movies. And so I was practicing with Disney Princess.
And that's the one you chose?
No, because her voice was, I listened, the reason why I know the lyrics to that song was because I practiced singing that many times just to try to get those high notes.
That's just my example for when people ask me why I don't like Snow White. I just break out into some... Anyway, so we both watched it like kind of around the same time last, and
Okay,
yeah,
we'll see what we think about it again
and get back to you. Rewatching Snow White, it's a lot like what I remember. The animation is really interesting because you can see it in better detail with these fancy new TVs. I mean, it's been years since I've seen it, so. She's just discovered the room where there's all the names on the beds. And then she's gonna fall asleep in a strange house, not knowing whose home it is. I guess expecting to be welcome wherever she may be. And she also left an open candle flame. Luckily this bird's friend is helping her out and turning that off for her. So far, all Snow White's good for is cleaning, making animal friends.
So I'm watching Snow White, and I am thoroughly surprised with how much I like her as a character. She's pretty amazing. My mind is blown. I was not expecting to like her as much as I do. The movie itself, too, I'm liking it more now than I did as a child. Definitely. Dang. I don't remember Snow White having to go through all this mess. Poor girl. I'd be just as terrified as she is. Look at that. Read that. Who says that anymore? Who admits their fault? Who's that mature? This little girl, this princess, she's more mature and more humble than most people out there in the world. She's a pretty great role model, I think.
I just finished watching Snow White again. The Queen was pretty terrifying. I don't remember being scared of her as a kid, but I could see why some kids might be terrified of her. She's pretty nuts, and I think she deserved what she got, even though in the real fairy tale she had to dance at Snow White's wedding wearing iron slippers, hot iron slippers. That was pretty ruthless. I'm sure they couldn't put that in the Disney version, so they just had her fall off a cliff and get eaten by vultures. Also fairly brutal, but more left to the imagination, I guess. Grumpy is still my favorite dwarf. He makes me laugh the most, and he's really cool. And I still think Snow White's love interest, who was a generic brown-haired white man, that was kind of weird. I don't know. I feel like there should have been more than just like, there was a song in my heart and now we're in love. I think they could have done better. It was cool to watch it again. I have the same or similar feelings that Snow White is not a good role model for young girls, and I'm sure she's lovely in her own way. I just don't think she's a good, strong woman role model for girls. And we're back, and we are going to be talking about Snow White today.
And the Seven Dwarves. Don't forget that.
1937.
Ooh, party.
Woo.
How did you feel about Snow White and the Seven Dwarves this time around?
Felt almost exactly the same. I think she's a bad role model. It's just that she doesn't really do anything that promotes being a good role model, I guess. I wouldn't want a girl in this day and age acting like Snow White.
I felt the same way before watching it again.
All right, so how do you feel now?
I felt like she's a great role model.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because, what were some of your arguments before why? And let me counter that.
I think the fact that she falls in love in a single day with a stranger.
I'll get to that last, but what were the other ones?
She is just very feminine, and she doesn't really save herself.
Why don't you think she saves herself? For what reason?
She only runs into the woods, and the first house she finds, she just decides to stay there.
Well, so the reason why I think that she's not that bad of a role model, and I actually think we need more people like her these day and age, is because I actually felt empathy for her. She's about to be murdered. The murderer doesn't even murder her. He's just freaking out. He's like, go, run away. And she's like, okay, let me run away. And then runs into the forest. And like that scene.
So she's following directions.
Well, yeah, because she knows her life is in danger.
Yes.
And so I run away into this forest. I start seeing figures. Remember, she's 14 or not even.
She's supposed to be 7 in the original story. I think they made her like 14 or 15.
Well, if she was actually 7, then it would be even worse. Yes. As a 7-year-old, I'd be terrified.
True.
Someone tried to kill me, tells me to run away.
That.
I'm gonna run away into the forest. She breaks down, and then all of a sudden, forest creatures just pop out. And what does she do?
That's what we need in this day and age.
No.
Forest creatures.
I'm not done.
No.
What does she do after she realized that they're forest creatures?
She says she's not going to hurt them and that she wants to be their friend or whatever.
She apologizes for making a fuss.
Oh.
She's like, oh, you don't know what I've been through, but I'm sorry for the fuss I made.
Yeah.
No one says that anymore.
That's true.
And then she tells the creatures her situation, asks them if they know a place where she can stay. And so they lead her to the cottage of the 7 dwarves. She checks to see if they're there for one. Notices like, oh, they're probably children. She doesn't go storming in like it's her own place. She assesses the place. And then she's like, maybe they'll make me stay if I clean and cook for them. Right. So that's why she essentially
earns her keep. Okay.
She's not playing the victim. When these people who live here, people she don't know, when they come, she's gonna bargain with them. She's gonna show them like, look, at this place, I cleaned it all up for you. Let me stay, please.
And she made food. Yeah. So, yeah, she's very good at negotiating.
Yeah. And sure, she doesn't kill the witch, but she does what she knows best, and that's to clean. Because she doesn't know anything else but cleaning.
Cleaning and cooking, yeah.
I don't expect her to throw a spear over at her stepmom when she has never done that before.
That's true.
That's risky.
That's true.
That's too risky. She's gonna risk her life.
For me, it's just when I think of like fairy tale role models from when I was a child, they all did something more, not aggressive, but like they went out of their way to, fight the spell or to figure out how to break the pact or whatever. Like they saved themselves. Sometimes they saved other people.
I could argue that she saved the dwarves.
Did she though? How? She had put them in danger, if anything. Grumpy says that she's good. We're gonna be killed if the queen finds out that she's here. Mm-hmm. And she's like, "Oh, please let me stay. I've got nowhere else to go," which is true, and I totally feel for her. But I'm just saying, she was putting them in danger by being there, and she didn't seem to really care that much. She also was blasé about the fact that she didn't think that the queen, was going to come after her at all.
I think she did. That's why she hid there, though.
No.
She hid there because she knew that the queen was going to come after her. But she didn't realize that the queen was the old witch, or the old lady that went up to her.
Yeah, I guess.
That was the thing. But again, with the prince, back to the prince.
Back to the prince. Okay.
I remember you...
I was very much against their love because it just happened over a well song.
My takeaway with the prince is that he didn't matter.
He didn't really matter.
He didn't, because
Did you notice, like, when he's approaching the coffin, like, his head was cut off for, like, most of the shot? Like, it was only from his neck down. I was laughing so hard from that.
A lot of the shots with the prince, it's not detailed.
Right.
And it's usually the back of him. Or, like, he's just standing there, which makes me believe, like, he was just a reward for Snow White.
Reward for kindness and perseverance, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, like, she persevered under the tyranny of her stepmother, and that was her reward.
And also, a better reward would be knowing that the stepmother is not going to come after you because she fell off a cliff. That should have been the reward that she would have been most grateful
She
for.
woke up to no stepmother.
Who's trying
and a boy toy.
And a boy toy.
That was my takeaway. Like,
Yep.
the prince was just eye candy for her. It's like,
true.
he had no
purpose.
personality.
Because she just inherited a kingdom. Basically, she wakes up, she's like, I'm a queen now.
Basically, Snow White's a queen.
She
She's
just
not
has to be coronated.
Yeah, she's
She's
a queen.
And then she's like, got my man, got my crown.
Deuces.
I'm out of here, dwarves. Right? She's like, bye!
That's literally what she does.
Yeah, everything's better now. You killed the queen for me. You ran her off that cliff. Thank you so much. Not going to really say thank you. Just going to ride off to the sunset with my prizes. What if Snow White had orchestrated that whole thing?
I like her more now.
That would have been amazing.
I think this has gotten a little out of hand, but you know what? We got a new fan theory. Who else had that as a fan theory?
Yeah, I want to know. Did anyone else guess that Snow White was going to be
It was
the queen?
all planned.
It was all planned out. That would be great.
What a conversation this turned out to be.
Yeah.
Also, one thing. The Wicked Queen, I wrote down in my notes, the Wicked Queen is stupid.
Yes, she's definitely consumed by vanity.
Not just that. If she's really consumed by vanity, why did she turn herself into an ugly witch? Just to kill Snow White.
I think it was temporary.
She says, like, if you want something done, do it yourself.
Right.
But her whole thing is being vain. Why would she sacrifice her good looks to do it herself? And, like, knowing... She totally wrote off, like, that's never gonna happen when she saw the claws down. If Snow White could come back from this curse...
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
That was so dumb. There was a claw.
She was watching from the window when Snow White was talking to her man-love.
Yeah, we're singing. Like,
Yeah.
she was being serenaded, and she was watching the serenation.
So she knew it was a possibility, but
She's
she was
dumb.
like, eh. Yeah, so she's not the smartest
So maybe
wicked
Snow
witch
White
in the
Did plan
village.
all of this.
I think so. She probably invited Prince What's-His-Face over and was all like, serenade me in the window and we'll get things rolling. Okay, so that is...
Hope you had fun.
Yeah, that was fun. Very interesting debate there. And we'll see you next time. This is Gretchen.
All right.
This is Gretchen.
This is Leah. Bye.
Bye. Okay. Oh, right.